I don't know why. It'll work fine now. So we've got our false start this morning, and they're off and racing. So we're on the Get Busy Livin podcast, and we have a wonderful guest this morning, Anne Thellmann. So before I introduce Anne, I'm Dr. Scott Fox. I'm a registered acupuncturist and Chinese herbalist. I'm over at Sixth Sense Acupuncture in Brisbane, Australia. And like I said before, you're watching the Get Busy Livin podcast, and our wonderful guest this morning, Anna. You're in the north of China, is that right? You're up near the Mongolian border, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So it's winter there, I suspect. And I see there's a bit of sun, so that's a good start, huh?
There's sun and minus 21 degrees today.
That's Celsius, is it?
Celsius.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's about 32 here in Brisbane, so positive, not negative, positive. So thank you very much for your time. I know it's early in the morning. It's 8 o'clock up there in China. So thank you so much for giving us an hour with us. So much appreciated, Anne.
Thank you for having me.
So I'll start with the first question. So what gets you out of bed every morning, Anna?
What gets me out of bed every morning is that I created a beautiful morning routine for me. So when I wake up in the morning, I usually have one of my dogs on my left, another one at my feet, and my partner on my right. So I'm just cozy between all of them. And then it's a bit of cuddle with my partner, a bit of cuddling with my dogs, getting up, walking the dogs, making coffee, and having then that coffee to just let my thoughts wander and having nothing to do in that perspective, just enjoying those 30 minutes or maybe an hour, how long it takes, or when my next meeting starts, to just get ready for the day. And that's what gets me up, because I enjoy that. I love going out with my dogs, even with minus 21 degrees. You just pack yourself in and go out, and watching the dogs when I throw the ball and when they come running, it's joyful. It gives me joy, and I look forward to that. So that what gets me up in the morning.
Awesome. And that's right. Enjoying nature and getting out, experiencing what nature has to provide for us. And yeah, I always say that nature provides all the answers. You just have to be looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. And so I'll move on to the next question.
Okay.
So you're a relationship expert, is that right?
I'm a sexual intimacy expert.
Sexual intimacy expert. So how did you get into that? How did you get into that career?
I got into it about 2 years ago. And before, I was a coach. And when I set up my business here in China, I have to go a bit further back. Back in England, I was a coach, so I'm in that field for over 8 years. Coming to China, I got the opportunity to set up my own business. Never been an entrepreneur, no idea what to do. I just knew I wanted to help people to love themselves. But I had no further idea how to do that, how to get the word out. I just assumed people are coming. I'm here now. Yeah, you're coming. And then hearing to all the noise about marketing, you have to niche down, you have to find your person, you have to know what that person drinks for how they drink their coffee and all of that. And it got me so overwhelmed, so confused of, I don't know what to do. So I decided to just let it go and just call myself a life coach, and the answer will come. And eventually, a couple of months later, I got out of the shower and I had this epiphany that the tools that I'm using for my clients, they work so brilliantly. Why wouldn't they work in the bedroom? And I was thinking, I thought, when I masturbate, I have this limiting belief that I need amazing fantasies to get me going. Every time a different thought comes in, panic in my body and in my mind, and the whole experience isn't enjoyable. And I thought, what if I use these tools for me? What if I use them for my pleasure? And I went off and I used two of my tools that I thought would fit. And I masturbated and I had such an amazing orgasm. And I thought, this is it. This is my niche. This is what I want to do. I want to tell the world, I want to tell women that when there is lack of intimacy, physical and emotional, in their lives, it's all in your head. And I know how to do it. I can help it. I've seen it firsthand on myself that when I quieten my mind, when I focus on my body, I have enjoyment with my body. And that was it.
So tell me more about what did you research? What did you go into some formal training, or did you go to someone to ask more information about intimacy, not only with ourselves but also relationships with others? How did you research that?
I did a lot of research, yes, because when I told people, look, guys, I want to help women to get their orgasm back. That was what I said at the beginning. I want to help women get their orgasm back. And then I got invited to do presentation to educate on intimacy, on sexuality. And for those events, I did research. I did a lot of research on masturbation, research on erectile dysfunction, on orgasms, on intimacy itself, emotional and physical, how you lose it, how to get it back. So yes, a lot of research, still learning whenever I get the opportunity to educate on a different topic that I haven't researched so far in that depth. I go down to business and just do my research and ask people, ask experts in their field. Also do a lot of on Google study, I think it's called, because they have amazing statistics and articles to get the information that I think fits for my audience.
Google Scholar. Is that what you mean? Google Scholar.
Yes, that one. Yeah,
Google Scholar. Yeah. I actually do go to Google Scholar too for some research that I don't always go to PubMed. Or sometimes Google Scholar actually has better research for some reason. I don't know why. So yeah, that's fantastic. So so tell us. So you're not from China, obviously, and you said that you lived in England for a while, but you're not from England, are you?
I grew up in Germany, but I was born in Romania.
You're born in Romania, but you grew up in Germany. There you go. When did you move? When did you move to Germany?
I moved to Germany when I was 5 with my parents, because at the time it was the Ceausescu regime, a dictator, and they wanted to have a better life for my siblings and I. So when I was born, they applied to be able to leave. And when I was 5, they got the permission to leave everything behind. We literally went to Germany without a passport. Just in German, you say staatenlos, stateless in English. I don't know how to translate it, but you have no nationality and just you're not allowed to go back. And you're in the grace of Germany to let you in.
Yeah, right. Okay. So, that would have been rough, I suspect, especially at the start. You,
particularly for my parents. Yeah, I mean, they had 3 little children and had to start from scratch. No money, no belongings, because you weren't allowed to take much with you. So for them, it was really tough, but they've been amazing. So they created a life for my siblings and I where we could live our dreams.
Yeah, right. But I was going to say, and what did you leave Germany in your 20s, in your 30s to go to England, or how old were you?
I was 29 when I left Germany. And
Yeah,
it
okay.
was for love at the time as well. My partner at the time, he got a job offer in England, and I was like, oh my God, yes, let's go. I start from scratch. I leave everything behind. I will find a job. I just knew, I had this knowing that it will be fine. And we left, and I arrived in England. I remember that moment, stepping out of the airplane, and I felt like coming home. And that was so overwhelming to me because I didn't feel that in Germany. I can't remember feeling that in Romania. So to have that feeling for the first time, it was like,
Yeah.
this is amazing. This is where I belong. Yeah.
So I suspect it was for. So what did you do in England? What did you do in? Did you work for someone? Did you work for a company?
Yes, when I went to England, my English wasn't very good. So this, what you hear now, is amazing. Such a big improvement. Because I only had English at school and didn't practice it after school. So my English wasn't good. But because in Germany, I had so many different jobs and those gave me so much different experience. There was this guy who was helping my partner, and he said, oh, we need a team assistant. And it would be great if she would have experience with web design. It would be great if she could do the fleet management and all these different things. I said, I can do that. I've done all of that. Can I come and interview? And he said, well, fill out the form, which I did. And then I had the interview and I just got the job. And there I was, starting as a team assistant in sales. And after a year, I heard that the production director is looking for a personal assistant. And I thought, oh, I want to do that. Let's do that. And people told me, because I was a temp at the time, they said, no, you can't go from temp to being directly employed by the business. And I knew that that director, he went for a smoke every now and again to the smoking shelter. And one day I just followed him and I went up to him and said, I want to become your PA. What do I need to do? And he said, well, he then told me a couple of things. And in the end, he said, just give me your resume and we'll see. And I think a month later, I got that job. So everything is possible if you just try.
Well, just keep going. Just keep going. Yeah. So so you were his PA for the whole duration you were there, or did you do something else in England?
I was his PA for a couple of years, and then I left and started, because in that time I went back to school. I did my postgraduate degree in HR management. I did a neurolinguistic course. I did coaching training, and I left because I wasn't fulfilled anymore. After a couple of years, it was just like, I want to do more. I want to help. I want to make people better in the simplest way. And I left and got a job at the local college where I then coached the students. And that was, I thought, hello, this is what I want to do. That was my first experience with coaching, me being a coach and seeing how people react, and how amazing the tools that you have can be for their lives and how it can change.
Was going to say, so you were like a tutor as such. We call them tutors in Australia. That's educating students.
No, I coached them. I coached them because I coached the apprentices.
Oh, right.
That means they do apprenticeships, and the first time for them to be away from home, to deal with studying, to deal with work. And I just had one-on-ones with them where we went, okay, how is it going? How do you feel? What can be improved? What are your goals? So all of coaching, literally coaching.
Yeah, right. So that's more with the academic side of like a trade, for instance. Is that what you mean? And also life skills, yeah? And also life skills.
Yeah, just helping them cope with the situation.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because when you bear in mind that some of them are 16 years old, First time away from home, living in a different part of the country and having to manage going to school and going to work, because they had this 2 weeks at work and then they come for 1 week to the college. And it was a big change for them, and some struggled emotionally. So that's where I came in, and I helped them to deal with that. And also if they had struggle at work with their manager was the mediator. So just to give them that emotional support.
Yeah, right. So, okay. So they're teenagers as such, and they're trying to. So it'd be like first year and second year students. That's what you were mainly your main clients. Is that right?
My main clients, I had 250 students that I looked after, and they were from the first to the fourth year. So some of them are even in their 30s. And for them, it was a struggle because I'm 30, they are 16, and I'm doing the same thing. So that's emotional change and challenge to them. Each of them had their own thing that they went through.
Yeah, right. Did the government set up a what do you call it, a program for the apprentices? Is that so? Were you funded by the government, or was it funded by the employers?
I don't know, to be honest. I got my money from the college, so I was employed.
Oh, I see. Okay,
from the college.
I see.
Yeah, and so we were 4 apprentice coaches at the college to help all of the apprentices.
Yeah, I see. Okay, so I see. Yes. So colleges normally get their funding from, well, it depends. It can be non-for-profit colleges. They get their funding from not only the government, but they also get it from donors. But in Australia, that is. I don't know what it's like in the UK, but also, but most public colleges, they are funded by the government directly. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. You got to deal with teenagers. I suspect I know they probably didn't talk about sexual orientation at the time, but they would have probably told you about, the relationship issues and stuff like that. So you would have delved into that a little bit. So you got a little bit of an insight into that.
Yes, of course, because there were breakups. There were also some of them who lost their will to live. So we had really cases where we brought in a therapist to help us, the coaches, support that student. And tough cases and everything. Some said, I want to drive my car into the ditch. The other said, my girlfriend left me. I don't know what to do with myself. And the other said, my father doesn't speak with me, hasn't spoken with me for 30 years or for 20 years. And I still carry that burden. So there is a lot going on in these people's lives.
Yeah, right. What was I going to say? So then you did that for the duration of your time in England, or did you do anything else in England?
No, I did that till the end, just I think a week before I left England, and then coming to China. The thing is, I didn't find a job that would give me where I could be a coach and would give me a visa to work, because you need a visa, you need the work permit here. And so for me, the alternative to start with was to teach English, because I did my TEFL course, teaching English as a foreign language. I did that back in England before I left, and coming to China, I found a job immediately, literally during our look and see trip. And when I moved to China, 5 days later, I started my teaching role. And I did that for about a year. And in that year, I said to my partner so often, I miss coaching so much. I miss talking. I miss exploring. I miss to be curious about what's going on in their mind. And one lady then said to me, why don't you set up your own business? And I said, is that possible for me as a foreigner here in China? And yes, it is possible. And luckily, because I have the German and the British nationality, the Germans have a good connection with China. So setting up my business with my German passport was very, very easy. Within a week, I had my business.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you obviously moved for love again. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
So your partner got a job obviously in China, and that's why you had to go.
Why I wanted to go, because for me it was important that I made the decision to leave for me to explore something new and not to leave for him, because I knew if I leave for him, eventually, if it doesn't work out for me, I would blame him, and I didn't want that.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So I decided I do this for me. Whatever happens, I can deal with it, and I do this for myself.
Yeah, well, I understand it's for the adventure. Yeah, this because I haven't been to China before. I've been to Vietnam, and they say Vietnam is very similar. The culture is very similar, and I found that it's a strange place. Like you'll go to one area and it's very modern, very westernized, and then you go like 10, 15 k's down the road, and it's like a walk back in time. Is that the same in China?
Yes, it is, particularly when you're in the city and then you drive outside the city, where you have the small houses where they still keep the corn in their courtyards, and where they spread out in the summer the rice to dry.
Yes. So it is pretty much the same. Yeah. So okay, and then so you've moved to China. You had a job for a while, and then you set up your business. Now, why did you? So you told us before about an experience for yourself, but what drove you to help others with that intimacy issues?
I think it was on the one hand because I had experience with relationships in the past, and I remembered the struggles that I went through. And I've always been very open to talk about my feelings, about my sexuality, and curious to hear from others what they experience. And
you're right. And
that was a big part in discovering my path and this epiphany, like, oh my God, I can help. But also I'm able to talk about it freely. I don't feel ashamed. I don't hold back, but I don't throw it in your face either. It's just I can be there as a neutral point, educating and listening.
Yeah, I understand. And my next question was about because in Australia, it's very taboo. We don't really talk about it as such, especially with males. Women will talk about it. Women, I found they're very open and they will talk to each other about these issues, but men don't talk about it much at all. And it's sort of taboo as such. It's just in our culture, I think that's all it is. But in Europe, is it different? Is it any different in Europe?
Well, from my experience, I would say it doesn't matter where you live. It really depends on the person. Because I spoke with Australian guys, and when they saw that I'm sexual intimacy expert, they talked to me about their sex life or the lack of it. So when I'm with them alone, my experience, no matter what nationality, where they live, they want to talk about it. If we're in the group, even women, I had women who left a presentation because I was talking about orgasms, because I was talking about masturbation. They said, don't want to hear anything. I'm leaving. I come back in 20 minutes. So I can't say it's a nationality thing or where you live in the world. I think really it is a person thing.
Yeah, I've got that is very true. Actually, when now that you bring that up, there are some circles of men that I've come across that are very open to talk about it, and there are others that just don't want to talk about it at all. So yeah, I see what you're saying. And do you find that's difficult to break down? I know that you like to deal with women. Is that right? You mainly have women clients. Is that
For
right?
my program, the Intimacy Acceleration Program, I have women, but I also collaborate with the two of the local hospitals here in Shenyang. And
Yeah.
for them, I'm the emotional health support for experts. And there I get men, and we also talk about sexuality. And I have couples that I coach. So
Yeah. Okay.
got them all.
Yeah. Right. Do you find it's harder to break down those barriers, those getting them to express themselves about what's happening in the bedroom, especially men?
Not harder. Sometimes they don't have the vocabulary to express themselves, to say what they want to say, and they don't want to use particular words. And my way around it is to just define a word that we use for something we both know what it means. So I even had a woman, she didn't want to say vagina. I said, okay, how else do you want to call it? Let's find a word that you are comfortable with, that we both know what it means, and then we use that word.
What'd she call it? What did she
She
call it?
called
A feline? A feline?
it moo.
A moo. There you go. Okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
and so that okay. So it's more about language and being able to express, get them to express themselves in a way that is common to them and to so you can both elaborate more on what the real issue is. So give us an example of what would be a normal issue that you see a lot of.
What I see a lot of is with women in my program that they are detached from their partner emotionally and physically. The reasons for that, what I had a couple of, is the body image, that they think they are ugly. And that's why they don't want their partner to see them, to see their body. And what happens is whenever their partner came close, it just be a hug or just give them a kiss, they would withdraw. And with that, create the emotional split. And that would then go into not having sex for 12 months, 2 years, just because they feel so ashamed of themselves.
Yeah. Right.
And what I do then with them is I help them accept who they are. And again, it starts in your mind, because it's your perception of yourself that starts in your mind. And when you just focus on the things that you don't like about yourself, that's what's dictating your day and the majority of your thoughts. And we learn, or I teach them, how to quieten that voice and how to focus on the stuff, the parts of their body. Even if it's literally, one lady said, I like my hands. I said, amazing. Focus on your hands. Look in the mirror, hold your hands up, and just say, I like my hands. I really do love them. And by creating that difference, that change of perception, we move away from the negativity and from the shame. And with that, we create then the openness and the confidence to be more open to their partner, to ask them, what do you think about my body? What do you see? Because before, they were afraid that their partner thinks the same. But when we change the perception and we raise the confidence, that gives them the great platform to then move forward and say, what do you see? Let me know. Let's talk about it without judgment and without taking it personally.
Yeah, I see that the fashion, especially in the fashion world, is it's an unusual world. They go through stages. I see, like over the years, I've noticed with fashion, they'll try to bring out the image of bigger women going back to the 50s and prior, that voluptuous looking women. And those women that are voluptuous, they obviously have a lot of confidence. Now, why do you think that is? Why do you think that those women have that confidence to get up on stage and get in their underwear?
I think what they have is acceptance for themselves.
Yeah, that's
it's
a really
just
good
like
answer.
accepting what they see and not trying to fight against it.
Yeah.
And what I also notice is that sometimes we think that if we accept who we are, we don't look after ourselves anymore, we don't exercise, we don't look after our diet. It means we don't care. But that's not what it is. When you accept yourself, your body as it is, you still exercise because you want to look after your body. You still look at your lifestyle, what you eat, what you drink, etc., because you care for your body.
Yeah. And so that comes back to another issue that you would obviously delve into further to find out why if they have those image issues, they have that image. They're afraid of their image. You would have to delve further, obviously, to find out what's triggering this so they don't. Well, they're not looking after themselves. So, would you have to do that? You'd have to go further and find out. Well, why don't you look after yourself?
Yes, we delve into that. We question that, but we don't stuck in it. So it's not like we spent many hours in exploring what is the reason for that.
Yep.
I find with coaching, we look to the future. So we work on where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? So how can we make that happen? And by helping them letting go of what happened in the past, not meaning that, we forget about it and it doesn't mean anything. It just means it happened, but we let it go. We don't put our emotions to it. We let go of those emotions. We know it happened to us and we just move forward.
Yeah. And so give them solutions on how to look after themselves, how to look after themselves and how to, gotcha. So that's why I wanted to collaborate with you, Anna, because that's what I'm really good at too. So I was going to say, give us another example of what else you would see with your clients. Is there any unusual cases that you've seen?
Well, what is unusual? We have to define that first. But what I also had a lady who didn't have sex with her husband anymore because she was comparing herself to her younger self. So she was in her 50s, but in her thoughts, she built up this idea that orgasms come much easier. They came much easier when I was younger. I'm not that young anymore. So it doesn't come easy. Why should I start? I might not even get an orgasm, so I just don't have sex at all. I just leave that. So she stopped having sex because of that belief.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. So we go in and again, it's a perception of yourself and what you see, what you believe. And we break it down and see, okay, what could be the alternative to look at it for you to then have sex. And for her, a great solution, one part of the solution was to be okay when the orgasm doesn't happen. So we go through then the scenario, okay, your husband, you want sex, you get together, and then it doesn't happen. What do you do to prepare her for what happens if it doesn't happen? What emotions come up? What thoughts come up? What could you do with it? What could you do to be okay with that and still enjoy the time with your husband? And with that, she learned to just let go of the control, to have that orgasm and enjoy the moment, enjoy the touching, enjoy the be together of the bodies. And then the orgasm came without her controlling it or doing much for it, because she just let go and was free in her mind and could experience her body.
Yeah, we are our own worst enemies, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, and so with guys, what would be the most common thing you would see with guys? We talked about women now, so what about guys?
Well, for example, I had one client, he was 23 and he had erectile dysfunction. So he was panicking. Oh, this is my dog, by the way, one of them.
What's his name?
So this is Betty.
Hey, Betty.
She's keeping me warm. So he had erectile dysfunction and he was panicking and he thought, oh my God, I'm 23. This is it for me. This is how the rest of my life turns out. And so what we did is we went back and said, okay, so it happened. Yeah. What was the reason for it? Because what you do at the beginning is you just see the results, but you don't question where does it come from. So we go back, and it turned out that he had problems with his girlfriend. She was very controlling and he did stuff that he didn't want to do. He changed his day-to-day life for her and wasn't happy with it. So all of that emotional baggage was weighing heavily on him, and the outcome was him not getting one up. So by talking about how could you talk to your girlfriend, what would you actually like to have differently? What is it that you want? And with that, opening up the communication to say, okay, this is what I want. This is how I communicated to her. These are the alternatives that we get together and find a common ground to move forward. And by removing that emotional baggage, those thoughts, happy life, he got back.
Wow. Okay. So yeah. Okay. Do you sometimes have to do onward going work with them as well? Like,
Yes, it's usually onward going. So with my program, I recommend 6 months, because what I see from my experience, but also how I see it personally, is in the first 3 months, you do a lot of firefighting, because your relationship is at a stage where there has happened a lot. So you do the firefighting, you start communicating again, you get closer again, etc. But your mind is filled with all of these things to do to save that relationship. But after 3 months, you're at a point where the firefighting has been successful. You are at a point where you now calm down. And what usually happens with us humans, you might know this from yourself, because I know it for myself, is you have success. Well, now you let it slide. Oh, I don't have to do anything. Oh, I reached my goal. Everything is peachy. And that's when things go down again. So, and that's what I say to my clients. I recommend 6 months. So for the last 3 months, we focus on you, on maintaining that mindset, on maintaining your level of confidence, so that when you leave the program, you are equipped, ideally for the rest of your life, to handle this the situations that come, and know what tools can you use, what mindset, and might even have changed the mindset and be strong in that belief that you can handle it.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's great advice. Okay. What so after that is for life. That's fantastic that you do that and help them to change with that mindset. So at the end of the podcast, I'll get you to put your details in the comment section, and also we'll do that for you as well on your live event as well, because this is very interesting. I know a few people that would actually benefit from your interventions. So I'll move on to the next question. So you've sort of already told us, I suppose. So obviously, do you what is your ideal client? Do you like women more so, or do you like men more so, or do you like the couples together? Because it sounds like the couples together would be, because you need to get the feedback from both of them to find out what the problem is. Sometimes, I suspect. Would that be
What I
right?
like to do with the couples is I like to coach them individually, and then every couple of weeks we come together and
Yeah,
then
gotcha.
talk in the group. Because I find by focusing on the one person first, because it all starts with yourself. That's how I see it. It starts with yourself. And they go back into their relationship after we have the session individually, and they still work on their relationship. And then every couple of weeks, I say to them, every 4 weeks, you come back as a couple. And then we see what's going on. What is there that hasn't been said? What is there that's still causing conflict? What is there that you still need help with? Like in me, how can I help you? What hasn't been clarified yet? What is still a hurdle? Oh. Yeah. But I like to do individual work because I see the most benefit comes from individual work.
Yeah, right. Okay, and it'd be more women that you like to see. Yeah,
It's not a liking for, like I said, for the program that I have, I get
yeah,
women. They're all women. But I also get just guys texting me or getting in touch and saying, can you, like this guy with the erectile dysfunction, he didn't come to my program, he didn't do the program, he just approached me and said, I have this problem, can you help me? But I
yeah.
can, yeah. So the
Gotcha.
program is there to give you a guidance of is this what you experience and is this what you want? Then this is the program. But if anyone comes and says, Anna, can you just help me? What I don't do is these one-offs, because I feel like with the one-off, you get some clarification, but it's not a long-term solution.
Yeah,
And
gotcha.
you get left alone with so many questions. Because
Yeah,
usually coaching, they say coaching, it's not, the transformation doesn't happen during the session, it happens after. But what
yeah,
also happens is more questions come up because now you see things different. I say, okay, what about this? What about this? And
yeah.
I find it's better for, if someone wants to do coaching, to have at least 4 to 8 sessions to get the most out of it.
Yeah, gotcha. So just give us 3 steps or 3 pieces of advice. That's a better way of putting it. 3 pieces of advice that you would for those sort of problems that you see the most.
Okay, the first one is learn to quieten that voice. First of all, learn to distinct between your intuition and that voice that causes you stress and body stress. So when you feel this pressure in your body, that's not your intuition, that's that voice in your head that's driving you to do something or not to do stuff, to keep you emotionally safe. So learn to
Yeah,
quieten that. And the second part would be to find out what is it that you want. Because often we have a list of, I know what I don't want, but it's important to know what do you actually want, because then you know what you can communicate to your partner, where you want to go. So find out what you want in detail. And
yeah, gotcha.
the third step would be to tell the world, not just your partner, because when you know what you want, it also means you have boundaries. Out of the blue, there are boundaries now there are things you don't want to do. Learn to communicate them in a way that you feel okay with it. And it will be tough. If you've never had boundaries, it's tough to tell your partner, I don't want to do that, and see their disappointing face or have an argument with you about it, and to stay in that space of, but I don't want to do this. That's the toughest part. So learn to deal with that.
That's fantastic advice. Okay, so I'll move to the last question. So, what rules or ideas would you go by to attain lifelong longevity, Anna?
Sorry, I didn't get that. You froze a bit and your voice went down.
what rules or what ideas would you go by to attain lifelong longevity?
Live, love, and laugh.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Anna. It's been much appreciated coming on the podcast. I got some gold out of that, so I hope the viewers did too. Thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. And as I said, I'd love to do some collaboration with you. So much appreciated, Anna. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And thanks very much, Betty, as well.
Yeah, she's left.
She's gone. All right. Thank you so much, Anna. And as I said, just leave your details in the comments, and we'll do the same for you. Thanks very much, Anna.
Thank you, Scott.